really bad for them. It allows the Terran to push out so much earlier than he normally would have. It looks like Fantasy's really playing for the late game here. He's still only on 2 factors.
Wow.
Oh, he's going to go for a break. He's going to go for a break. And there's only 1 tank below the cliff for Fantasy. Fantasy totally not ready for this. He still has both of his tanks above his cliff, and he's sieging them right beside each other. These are both going to get hit by that 1 Scarab, and both of those tanks are really low HP now. This is not good for Fantasy. Fantasy's going to he's forced to take all his SCVs off mining. He's going to take some damage to his command center here and just going to be delayed a little bit. Hopefully, hopefully Tempest doesn't let that 1 Vulture break his pylon there. Probably not going to happen. Okay, so not a lot of damage taken for Fantasy there. He had a lot of tanks, but still, just kind of silly to be forced to run away all your SCVs at that point in the game. Oh, there's that one. Oh man, that 1 mine went off. Oh, a second mine going off. I guess the observer is out of place there, or does he not have an observer? Losing some probes there. 4 probes going down for 5 probes. But that was pretty sloppy by Tempest right there. I mean, Fantasy just doing all this little building a marine, and that actually the marine is blocked off, so the probes can't even get to it. He has to run his probes away from 1 marine. Oh, he's gonna lose some more probes here. Tempest really nice pylon placement there to block the vultures. Still losing a lot of probes for no real reason. Man, that was got to be at least 8 probes, I think, that he lost there. So that's a big hit to his economy. And not only that, but having to move these probes away as well. Fantasy more than making up for the fact that he had to run his SCVs away in that brief exchange and losing a couple of tanks. In fact, Fantasy went for the extremely early 3rd base there. And extremely early upgrades as well. And is he building a science facility out of that? I mean, he's building a science vessel. Really strange play from Fantasy here.
I guess one possibility too is he could land the barracks again where it was, and then position tanks back there and drop it so you can't get zealots back there and force him to pull probes once again. But you know, Macro is playing such a yeah. I want to see him do. That's what I thought he was going to do at first. And Tempest is going to want to try and deny this expansion here. A lot of turret hits going off. You know, I'm surprised that he took that much damage. And it looks like the shuttle getting kind of pinned in just by a single marine. And now the tanks are out. And Tempest is really going to have to make a decision here. I mean, Fantasy really stuck his claim out here. I mean, he took a really early command center. I think that was off of 2 factories. And, you know, although he went for the vultures and went for a heavy map control with the early speed, early mines, he really is using that to deny expansions. And Tempest really didn't try and take a 4th base. So, I mean, at this point, I think Fantasy is going to be ahead. And it looks like the path that Tempest is deciding to take is he's going for Arbiter, so he's going to stick for the standard play. And it looks like Tempest actually taking the left side base. Still hasn't taken his 3rd gas yet. He's going to try and intercept this dropship. Nice pathing there from Fantasy, though. And, oh, no, and he's not going to be able to get in there. He's going to be able to sneak the dropship in. And this is going to be really difficult. I'm not sure how that Marine died. I think it just died to Pro, but it looks like the Reaver drop from Tempest. Nice counter drop there, and Tempest forcing Fantasy to pull all the SCVs off. And, wow, so many kills from the Siege Tank. 2 Vultures in the main. Both players just really hit for hit here. I mean, there's, you know, neither player really going back to defend. It's going to be really difficult for Tempest to defend this attack. I mean, he's got a lot of mines in there. He's going to have to pull observers back, but Fantasy is really not doing anything about this Reaver here. I mean, I have to imagine he's got Goliath. The shuttle almost goes down. Tempest doing an excellent job keeping both the Reaver and the shuttle alive, but Tempest playing so aggressive, but losing the Reaver just as I say that, and losing the shuttle, so I think he was just mocking me at that point. And it looks like Tempest now moving out, clearing out the drop. So finally both players resolving that. Dropship doesn't go down, and wow, nice. Actually, I didn't even know you could do that, positioning those vultures behind that expansion. I didn't think that opening was so close there, but once again, forcing Tempest to pull probes. So Fantasy starting to take a lead in this game, and I think we're going to need to see some really excellent Arbiter player from Tempest if he's going to want to come back in it. I mean, I think Fantasy is, you know, even though he lost a lot of SCVs, he's got 3 command centers up versus Tempest's 3 and almost 4 Nexuses, which, I mean, isn't that bad considering Fantasy is going to be able to start adding command centers up. And wow, the Vulture's still doing damage. I mean, all the harassment that Fantasy did definitely made up for what Tempest did with that 1 Reaver, however significant it was.
Yeah, but that was a crazy Reaver drop. I mean, he got like 14 SCVs with that Reaver. He just dropped at the perfect time when Fantasy wasn't paying attention, but I still think Fantasy got the better of that whole exchange. I mean, he killed so many probes. He made him pull probes. He got like 3 Dragoons. I mean, he killed the Reaver and the Shuttle and whatever Zealots were in there, and he's got his 3rd base. So I think Fantasy's taking a comfortable lead in this game. Although, of note, the Tempest has his 4th base, and Fantasy really doesn't have enough of an army to push out and kill Tempest's 4th. So Tempest is going to have, you know, he's not too far behind economically because of that 4th base. Another drop coming down here from Fantasy. Still no Zealots anywhere nearby. This is going to do a lot of damage again. I really think he should have just dropped Vultures on top and just gone straight for the probes. But I mean, he's pulling probes again. He's have to pull probes from his main as well. There's 2 probes going down. I mean, a lot more probes are going to go down here. Planting mines. I mean, this is really just a disaster for Tempest. He's falling so far behind. Not only that, but
he has no probes in his main right now. That's just awful.
No, I mean,
he transferred him, I was going to say. Yeah.
No, he didn't lose that many, but still, I mean, he pretty much had to transfer every single one of his probes to his natural there. Like, his main stopped mining. The 2nd natural didn't mine for a bit. I mean, this is really going very badly for Tempest. Although he does have the Arbiter, he does have 2 Arbiters out already. Fantasy does know about the Arbiters, so he's going to get Science Vessels early in retaliation, but still, getting those Arbiters this quickly in the game is definitely going to play a big role. It's going to be all about his Arbiter usage at this point. He's definitely behind economically. He's behind in upgrades. It's all about how well he uses those Arbiters. And also about how well he manages to hold off this 4th base. If Fantasy gets that 4th base up secure and doesn't lose anything, it's going to be really tough for Tempest to come back from that. 4-base Terran with upgrades is just really very difficult for Protoss to deal with. Especially considering he's... oh man.
Oh my gosh.
This is really just awful.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe
this is like harassment that gets done to people on iCup. Like a dropship in the same spot like 5 times in a row. Just Vultures right through the main base 15 minutes into the game. I mean, this is... I don't know what to say about this. I mean, this is, I guess, part... And this is definitely coming from both players there. I mean, Fantasy, I mean, he's definitely playing, I guess the best comparison I can make to him is really, wow, he dropped the tank back there too again.
6
looks like the Arbiter being forced to pull off. Yeah, so just excellent harassment there. But one thing, you know, the best relation I can pull to is Mind. I mean, Mind just does just so much harass, but not only that, he just loses so many units. But Mind, I think, being more of a seasoned player, a better Terran, at least I would say, at least with more experience would be a fair assumption, would, you know, he minimizes his harass so well, while Fantasy just took so much damage from that Reaver, and that Arbiter's hiding up there, and it looks like, you know, Tempest is really probably going to go for almost, you know, the 1-2 punch here. He's probably going to go in and try and recall in the factories and take out Fantasy's ability to produce units, and then he's going to have to find some way to break this push. Here comes the Reaver in there, the starport there spotting it, so nice positioning there. Only 2 Goliaths, he's going to have absolutely nothing to do here. That's going to be a huge recall all over the main base, all over the factories, and it's going to be up to how well Fantasy can defend this. I mean, all of Fantasy's forces will pull out defending his 4th base, which, I mean, was a mistake in my opinion. So this drop, I think, is going to do a lot of damage. It's going to be real tough for Fantasy to get back there and defend this, although it looks like he's actually doing a pretty good job. I think he got 1 EMP off on the Arbiter. That Arbiter, yeah, the Arbiter goes down, so it looks like Fantasy is actually going to clean this up pretty well.
Yeah, I think that was the Arbiter with energy too, so we're not going to be seeing any more recalls or stasises. The vessel's out. It's really not doing a lot of damage. I mean, other than forcing him to lift it, getting the armories. He didn't kill any factories. He lost 2 Arbiters, so that didn't really go that well for Tempest. It's going to have to depend on how well Tempest can do. Wow, he actually making a block on that base there. Tempest is going to get slaughtered here. There's just no way he can take that base. That's really too well defended. His only chance was to go for probably Fantasy's natural, probably is the least defended place right here. So, I mean, that really didn't do a lot of damage for Tempest. Just basically stalling the push of Fantasy and giving Tempest more time to macro off of his 4 bases. It looks like we're going to see another recall here. I mean, if Tempest can keep recalling, then basically he can keep delaying the push from Fantasy. Oh, he better not lose that Arbiter. If he loses the Arbiter, that's really bad news. Oh, the Arbiter goes down. That's a huge hit for Tempest. That Arbiter probably was close to having 150 energy, and losing that 150 energy Arbiter is huge. Oh, look, good mind dragging here, but just Fantasy just barely able to get the tanks away in time not to take damage from the mines. And Fantasy just has a huge army now, and this is just going to crush Tempest's army. Hopefully he doesn't... Oh, run into the mines. Oh, man. Oh, gee. Things
Oh
are
my
getting
God.
worse and worse and